Duke wins 80-50 at Stanford. They complete the California road trip 2-0.
2-0.
First ACC school since Wake Forest did that last year to win both games out in California. Duke wins the California Invitational. It was the first place game. Duke
Clearly adjusted to the time difference by the second game.
that helped. They actually got off to a good start. They were up 6-0.
Didn't know which game I was watching.
Cam Boozer led them early. He led them late. He led them throughout the game. As you said before we started, he had 30 points. If you take him away, it's a 50-50 game. I think it's a good place to start with Cam because the past month or so, we've been critical of Cam's defense, to be clear. Today, there's one thing which I think you could be a little critical of, but he was awesome. He was from the tip till when he came out with about 5 minutes to go. He played like the best player in the country.
I think the only thing that maybe you could say was that the Stanford bigs were not up to the task of being able to handle him. But I don't know even if he was playing against really good bigs tonight, the way he played tonight or this afternoon in California was just tremendous from the opening tip to the end. So much so that Duke was in a position with 4 minutes plus to take him out and empty the bench.
Yeah, and to that point, we've seen him had good games against great bigs, the Florida bigs. He had an awesome game against Florida. In this one, he came out aggressive, which we typically don't see from him. He typically feels his way into the game about 5-10 minutes in. When he had 6 points in the first couple of minutes there, I was like, this could be a game he scores 40. Because typically he's got 0 at this point in the game. So he just had a really good aggressiveness to him from the opening tip. Going out, scoring inside. I thought as a team, we'll get into the offense. It's kind of crazy Duke scored 80 points in this game. But I thought as a team, the one thing I give them credit for is I didn't feel like they were settling for threes so much in this game. At times,
it'll be interesting when we check the stats. It was very noticeable.
Yeah, at times this season there's been games where they have really settled, especially early on in games for threes. It felt much better. We'll look at the stats, but that felt much better. And then the opposite side of the ball, the defense was phenomenal, and it was spearheaded by Dame Sarr again.
Check your wallet.
Or Corey should check his wallet because...
Boy. Dame Sarr, we said in the pregame that Sarr would draw Okore, that Sarr is finding his identity, his place on this Duke team. He's going to take we had been playing against teams with really good guards, and we now have the stopper. He's amazing. He's just amazing on defense, and that gives him so much more confidence on play. His dunk.
He had a nice dunk. And then he had another drive later on. He had some nice pocket passes to Cam Boozer as well. He had a nice alley-oop to Patrick Gangba. He's starting to, as you said, find some confidence from his defense offensively. I actually thought one of his better plays of the night offensively was he had an opportunity to drive on like a one-on-one, one-on-two situation that we've seen a lot of times recently. He's gotten himself into trouble, and instead of driving, he just made a simple pass to Evans and just let the offense flow. It led to I think Cam got fouled. He ended up at the free throw line, and he is, he as you said, he's really finding himself, and as a result of him finding his identity, this Duke team may be finding its identity. Going back to their defense that they had in the first 10 games of the season, we've now seen, I would call it Well, this game certainly the Cal game. The SMU game was a bit weird because either SMU scored or they turned it over. It was like in between, and certainly the second half of Louisville. So overall, I'd say the last 4 games, the defense has certainly been in a major uptrend, and it's a little bittersweet that they have a week off now. It's good probably coming off the California trip to have a little bit of time off, but at the same time they are seemingly finding a flow.
Yeah, would have liked to have seen him play maybe Wednesday night or something. Give him a couple of nights off, but um, and the other thing is that we always talk about Malik's defense being elite. The fact that you now have two defenders that are just, you know, and occasionally you even saw Malik helping Sar, and I was like, oh goodness, I feel sorry for, Akpor,
Akpara.
Akpara. That it's you have two of the best defenders on there, and Sar, that was just great.
Okori. Ibuka Okori. Akpara is somebody else. I'm all. You have me all. I'm all mixed up.
All right,
I don't know.
I'm just
going
to refer to him throughout this broadcast as O. Okay, and you'll know who I'm referring to because I do have a tendency to butcher the names.
All right. Well, with that being said, hey, side note, I guess that was the first Duke game we've been able to watch in well over a month. Where 10 minutes to go in the second half, I was very comfortable. It was like relaxing to watch them play. Um, and you know what was it? At the end of the first half, Cam Boozer had more points than Stanford did as a team.
20-19.
20-19. Now, thankfully, in the second half, he only had to score 10 because the rest of the team got involved. We got more from Evans. Gangba, for whatever reason, of late, he just keeps getting, not whatever reason, he keeps picking up these dumb fouls, and gets himself in foul trouble. And then in the second half, he plays with a level of smart aggression. And then he gets to score the ball. He plays better defensively. There's that nice sequence where him and Sar were trapping the ball, and then Okori tried to make a cross-court pass. Cam Boozer stole it. There was also, going back to Malik, there is a play in the first half where, again, they were kind of trapping, or there was pressure from Sar. He finds Rahosi. Cam Boozer rotates over to help, and then Malik just pokes the ball away. And there was just a lot of good rotations, smart defensive play from Duke in this game, and it was really an elite defensive performance against a team that definitely did have vulnerabilities. Let's be clear about that.
Well, and so on offense, in the first half, Cam had 20 of our 35 points, so it was 20-15. In the second half, Cam had 10 points, and we put up 45, so 35 points came from other players, which was welcome that it just wasn't Cam, because it was like, at halftime, Cam was scoring another 20 in the second half, but he only had to score 10, and Duke did have a nice offensive output in the second half with a total of 45 points.
They did, because I mean, for large stretches of the first half, the first 10, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, really, it was, boy, Duke's defense is playing amazing, but they don't have separation because we're not able to hit shots outside of Cam Boozer. And there were a couple of moments, in the first half where it felt like Stanford may be able to chip away, because for as great as Duke was playing, they were only up 8 points or maybe 10 points at most until the end of the first half. They were able to get some separation, and then you start off the second half, Stanford scores, but then there is the foul by Gilte on Gangba, which ends up being a flagrant one. Pat, did he hit both his free throws then? Definitely made the first one. Maybe he missed the second. But then Duke's able to score after that, and then from there,
Hit them both.
yeah, they were
Hit them both.
that first segment. They played them even, but then Duke was able to get some separation, get it to a 20-point lead, and then from really around there, they got some more contributions offensively from Evans and Gangba. Malik Brown even had an aggressive drive and finish. It was just, to your point, they got more guys involved offensively in the second half, and that's what widened the gap and gave them some comfort with the lead.
Without compromising on their defense. Yes, they gave up 31 points, but in a game where you would say 31 and 31, 62 points, nice defensive effort.
Yes.
A complete defensive effort. The things we were kind of looking for were, can they provide a complete game?
Yeah.
And one of the things that made this interesting was that the complete game came from the fact that their defensive intensity really didn't drop off in the second half. So it was the whole game, and especially Sarr just making O's life miserable. But that the offensive thing, you might be able to get away with saying that the offensive effort was where it needed to be in the first half, coming from Boozer, and then in the second half, everybody else came to play.
Yeah, and Sarr's ability to take away the other team's best player really gives life to everybody else and lets everybody else be where they need to be. For example, Cam Boozer gets... Now, some of this is the matchup, to be clear, because Stanford's bigs individually couldn't put pressure on Cam to really make them guard him.
Nope.
It's why Coach Smith, to his credit, tried to make an adjustment. He played Cameron Grant, who really didn't play very much prior to this game, but has the capability to shoot threes. That's why they played him so much to try to stretch the Duke defense, but he wasn't really able to knock down his shots. So Sarr's ability to stay with his guy, fight through screens, and have late contests. He had a couple of times where Corey thought he was open, only to have his shot blocked or altered by Sarr's length. And so what that does is it lets everybody else stay home. So people aren't having to help off of shooters. And more importantly, like I saw Lawrence had a really good point on Cam Boozer. His best attribute defensively is his rebounding because he finishes plays. He doesn't allow the opposition to get offensive rebounds. Mm-hmm. And so if Cam's able to stay back and be the defensive rebounder, he is a tremendous rebounder. And if everybody's in the right positions because Sarr's doing his job on the best offensive assignment, it just makes everybody look better. And I think that's really the value that Sarr provides. Not just what we see, when he's guarding the ball, but what he provides for everybody else and letting them stay in their positions. Like going back to the Louisville game where it just felt like we were constantly exposed. Cam was exposed. He allows everybody to be in better positions defensively. And then when you combine it when Malik's in the game and his ability to poke the ball away, his movement laterally, and then even Pat, when Pat's really engaged and moving his feet, you get a really good defensive product, and that's what we've seen the last couple of games. Because it's not just this game. He did the same thing to Day-Day Ames. Day-Day Ames was incredibly frustrated. He had a really good game against North Carolina earlier. Not this evening. I guess that would have been this afternoon. Certainly the afternoon in California. You guys get what I'm saying.
I thought that Sarr's presence, when you start a game and you're saying who's got who, I'm going to guard you.
Yeah.
All right, so the leading scorer on the other team, you can almost go in there saying, Cam Boozer's going to get us 20 and 10, and Sarr's going to reduce the productivity of the leading scorer. Though the only thing that might have helped them a little bit was, you pointed out, Jack, that their second leading scorer didn't play.
He didn't, Chisholm Akpara, but I don't think it would have made a big impact in this game because Akpara, he's an inside. He may have the thing that could have been different he may have been a better body against Cam Boozer. He's like 6'8", 230. He's fairly athletic. It would have been given Boozer another look at the very least, but offensively, he's not a great shooter. Um, and honestly, I think part of it for Okori was he's not a great 3-point shooter, and he gets his rhythm with his shot off of his drives, and so Sarr was really able to take that away, along with the help from Duke's big. So a really great performance. Duke shot 56% from the field, 40% from three. But going back to our point from earlier, they did not settle for threes. They only took 10.
I, Coach Shire, that is brilliant. That is a brilliant adjustment to not settle, especially where you didn't have, lots of really physical bigs that could stop them. It was just a smart move to say we're not settling for threes. In the end, due to a bunch of free throws, Humenya and everything, we got just over 70%. We're at 71%. They keep showing the stat with regard to Stanford's free throw shooting that the national leading teams are only at around 82%, 81%.
That's
It's not
good
it's not
as
a
team.
right as a team. So that, when I say I want a Duke team at around 80%, because that's always been a trademark of us, it means that we are one of the best free throw shooting teams.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I think
Nah.
we're 18 games in. I don't listen. If we get to 75, I'd feel really good. I don't know if we're getting to 80. I just it's hard for me to see it.
Looking at the stats, Jack, which we should turn to, oh, well. Is there anything else you want to say before we get there?
I mean, we just got 2,100 subscribers, so we appreciate all you guys joining us. Now we are. I mean, it never stops. We're on the road now to 2,200. We'll be with you guys in the chat shortly, so keep dropping your messages, your questions, your comments on the game. We'll be sure to read those all out. And please like this video. It really helps us with the algorithm. As you said, stats. Cam Boozer, 30 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 turnovers from Cam Boozer, 3 steals, 1 block. The only thing you could say is the free throws, 4 of 8. If he goes 6 of 8, and all of a sudden Duke's, what was 22 of 28? We'll do some quick math. What is that percentage there?
It would boost it up to about 77%.
And then you're almost at 80 as far as I'm concerned. It's pretty good. So it's the only thing you could poke a hole at. That guy was phenomenal. Like, he completely led this Duke team from start to finish. He was amazing. Just an incredible game by Cam Boozer. Gangba had 13 points in 17 minutes. Due to foul trouble, he didn't play a lot, but he also had a couple steals and a block, and most importantly, 7 of 8 from the free throw line.
So that is, we've had a debate with a lot of you about, what's, is his hand with the fingers. It doesn't seem to really bother him, because there was the other game where he was 5 for 6, and tonight 7 for 8. And so when he's alone at the free throw line, he has a really good rhythm. I'm very confident in him at the free throw line.
Dame Sarr, only 3 points and a couple of blocks. It doesn't matter. We'll show you Okori's. Let's show you Okori's line, because that's really what Dame Sarr did. Buko Okori, who came into this game averaging 23 points a game, scored 9 points on 3 of 9 shooting.
5th leading scorer in the country.
Also had 4 turnovers in 31 minutes. Just an outstanding defensive performance by Dame Sarr and company, because it was a collective effort, but without Dame Sarr doing the bulk of the work, you couldn't have the help be so effective. Evans finished with 15 points, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, hit one of the 4 threes in this game. And Malik Brown, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. A really good game from Malik. Now I think we can turn our attention to Caleb Foster, Humenya, and Caden Boozer, because if there is some concerns from this game, it'd be from that trio. I know Caden Boozer, if you look at the final stat line, he finished with 7 points, but it's a little bit inflated because he hits that 3 at the end of the game there.
But he has 3 turnovers.
He has 3 turnovers. Jimena, again, a little bit inflated. He scored a lot of his points late.
Garbage time.
And then Foster didn't have any points. I thought he played defensively pretty good. He was part of the group that played well defensively, but he had some ill-advised drives.
Yes.
And we just are going to need more from those 3 guys moving forward. And I know Duke won this game by 30 points, but some of this game was about matchups. And there are going to be games where you're going to look at the records of the team and think Duke should win by more points, but because of how teams match up stylistically, it's not going to be the case, and we're going to need more from our perimeter options. And so I hope, and we know at different times this season, all 3 of them have had better performances than they had today or tonight, depending on where you are, what time zone we're in. So I'm not going to harp on it too much, but our point guards combined for 2 assists and 4 turnovers. Like, we're going to need more efficient production from our guards, moving forward. Anything you want to add there?
No.
All right, perfect. So with that being said, we'll go to the medals, then to the chat. So the medals for me in this one are as follows. Cam Boozer, gold. I mean, at times during this game, I was asking the committee, could we give him 2 golds? Could we give him the gold, silver, and bronze? He was just absolutely phenomenal from start to finish.
I had to talk him out of it because of who gets the silver.
Yeah, and it is rightfully so. Silver goes to Dame Sarr. It's the second time this year he's got. Did he? I don't think he medaled last game. He didn't. It's the second time, the Louisville game and this game, where I've given him a medal strictly because of his defense. Because he's taken away the best offensive player for the other team. That is just incredibly valuable, especially in these matchups where the other team doesn't have great secondary creators.
They scored a total of 19 points in the first half, and a lot of that was caused by Dame being able to go out and just seal off and disrupt the rhythm of their leading scorer.
And then lastly,
all right, who are you going to pick?
The bronze medal goes to our leading assist man, Malik Brown, who not only led us in assists, but obviously was a big part of helping us defensively, because we all know what he does defensively. The amount of times I laugh when he pokes the ball away from somebody is ridiculous, because as Duke fans, we know it's coming, and it just seems like the other team is just not prepared for it, and I don't understand. If I have the ball and Malik Brown's around me, I am passing the ball, or I am trying to score right away, but I am not holding the ball. It's just you're inviting him to poke it away. So his defense was phenomenal. As always, he contributed more offensively as well, had 6 points to 4 assists. He had a couple of tough takes where he didn't score, but I think, let me double check, I think he was still over 50%, at 50% for the game. Missed his free throw, but still a pretty solid performance from Malik in this game. Anything you want to add before we get to chat?
I was just going to say that in a game in which we held the opponent to 50 points, I think it's fitting, Jack, that you should recognize 2 players for their defensive effort.
Yeah. All right. We're starting with Mr. Moore 007. Where has this Duke team been all year? I love it. Need consistency, and this team can be scary. And Laura and Joe echoing those same sentiments. Duke is back. Duke plays inside and wins big. Yes. What Joe said especially, right? What we noticed with the free throws, they were playing inside out. And as Joe's next point, they didn't try to find the hot hand from 3 in the beginning. It's funny, you brought up the point before in the preview. What's this team's identity? It seems like this game, I don't know if we'll see, to Mr. Moore's point, can they have consistency? but it seems they found an identity. They score inside. They play great defense.
It's a nice formula combined with 20 and 10 from camp. So they
30 and 15 almost.
Well, we're going to expect
yes,
20,
yeah, 20
and 10.
And 10.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but tonight he was great and deservedly so got the gold. So, yes, this is a game in which we could start to see an identity forming around the team. Joe M.
Next one.
Sorry, Laura.
Yep.
Hi, Laura. Duke is now only 2 teams in the ACC so far to be 2-0 on the West Coast, along with Wake from last season. We absolutely right. We were wondering if that would happen. No slow start in this game. When Jack said to me what the score was in the beginning of the game, I was like saying, "What game are you watching?" And he said, "No, it's the Duke game." So, okay, TGNC. Is this the same Stanford team that scored 95 points on Carolina a few nights ago? Not with tons of emojis, but thanks to just an incredible defensive effort. I really do wonder if some of this was the adjustment to the time. I just flew in, what was it, end of October, November. I had to fly out to California and return in 2 days. It is not an easy thing to do. And, the game, so they had a chance to practice, adjust to the time, and then they had a terrific game plan. Really, John Shire, great game plan.
Joe M., I really think this California trip was a huge team bonding experience. Yeah. I mean, it's not a normal, conference road trip. You don't go on the road, the day before the game, you play the game, you go home. You actually had to stay out there for about 4 or 5 days. So they were together. And this was the best start we've seen them have since Lipscomb, and they didn't slip after they started like that game. To your point, I think it was from the last game. It's amazing how much airtime the Lipscomb game has gotten from us, but it was a line of demarcation. And to Joe's point, I think it's got to be really helpful for this team to come together. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the post game after Cal. Seth Curry and Steph came into the locker room along with Dell. Talked to the team a little bit. I almost forget that Seth Curry played for Duke. It feels like so long ago now. And the thing I definitely completely forgot about was he was redshirting the year when John Shire won the championship. So they were on the same team together. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool just to get those guys in the building. Corey Miller, go to heck, Carolina. I don't want to get us in trouble with YouTube here. Handled business, sure did. To your point from earlier, the reason you couldn't watch the beginning was because we had to watch North Carolina again. But again, we were watching them lose, so it's not the worst. If we're gonna miss,
no problem to us Duke fans.
If we're gonna miss some Duke time, at least it's watching North Carolina lose rather than Tiger Woods simulated golf like we had a lot of last year. TGNC, good stat. 8 turnovers in first half, 2 turnovers in the second. It's a really good stat, TGNC. Yeah, they did a really good job. How many did Stanford have? Because they finished with 18. They had 12 or 13 at the half. I think 12.
Go back to that 1 second.
Yeah.
Look at the ratio. 8 assists to 18 turnovers.
Yeah, we were 16-10. Not amazing, but adequate.
I'm just saying for
them, yeah,
team,
brutal.
You're not going to win.
No. Amazing. Anthony Ingram, D-Sar, a.k.a. The Glove.
The Glove. I love it. Do you love it?
TGNC, we looked top caliber tonight. We did. Now, Some of this it was a stylistic matchup. You know, their bigs they weren't really threats
No.
against us. Um, so I do think when we run into a team that's more complete, how will we fare defensively? But nonetheless, really good confidence builder this road trip for this Duke team, especially defensively. Laura Markle, the state of NC went 2-2 today. Both Duke and Wake won their games. NC State and UNC lost. I don't know about you guys. Maybe this is me, not being in North Carolina, but if I were to pick any of the other North Carolina schools, if I had to root for them, it'd be Wake. I just don't. I haven't had a problem with them. I know the Kyle Filipowski fan thing a couple years ago. I can understand if we have some grievances with that, but I got real problems with NC State and can't root for North Carolina. So yeah, that's good to know, Laura. That's a great stat for the day. Only thing that would have made that better is if Kentucky would have lost. GMAT. Turnovers were definitely the key. We lost a few sloppy ones ourselves, but definitely won the turnovers. Good to see them sustain the defensive effort. And you look at when we had 60 points in the second half and just a few three-point attempts, we just kept putting the offense to our strengths.
Great point. I mean, the not settling for threes is a marked difference about how they approach this game, and it was very effective. ABC Slash, amazing win. Cam needs to work on free throws. Well, he was 4 for 8. I may not laugh at that, but okay. Blue Devil, great defense this game. Like what I saw from Dame this game, he seemed to be more settled and comfortable with the ball. When driving, absolutely, he didn't get stripped, but that was just a plus to his defense. ABC Slash, still concerned that free throws will be our Achilles heel in March or April. Completely agree with that. Joe M. Nick was about to go, oh no, until the subs came in. He was really only sitting in the corner on offense, and then he had two just not good three-point attempts.
He did have one play earlier in the second half where he drove it and kicked it out to Evans for his three. That's what I think right now. Nick's best asset to this team is his playmaking. But to Joe's point, a lot of the time he is in the corner. And part of that is because while I do think his best asset is his playmaking, there are times where he just commits bad turnovers. So it's hard to balance that, which goes back to Shire having a tough time with this team in terms of he doesn't really know what he's going to get from game to game. But we are starting to get some consistency from three guys. Cam Boozer, obviously, he's been consistent all year long. The defense, okay, but offensively, we know what we're going to get in the rebounding, the passing. Isaiah Evans, since conference play, has been really consistent. I know this game he scored his points in the second half, but he's been really consistent in terms of him being, the Robin to Cam's Batman, if you will. And then Dame's defense the last few games. I guess you could also throw in Malik as well.
And I was going to say, Pat, is having those segments each game where he is looking really good, and there are more segments that he's looking good than looking bad. But I think it clearly showed this game that the number of times that Foster, Humeni, and Dame would be trying to drive, with the exception of Foster this one, where he couldn't finish, but let's say the three of them were also being stripped, and that just didn't happen.
Raider Dan, CA. What's going on, Raider Dan? Nice of you to join us here. Way to go, guys. We D'd up big time. Sar was superb defending all game long. Now, if he can improve his offensive game, we will have another weapon. Take a break, then let's take on Wake. Well done, Raider Dan. Way to close it out. Yeah. ABC Slash. If we're in an a in a game of fine margins, free throws are extremely important. Yes, Jeremy Farrell, what's going on, Jeremy? Duke destroyed this team. They played some good basketball, and Cameron Boozer, he was awesome, 30-point game. I hate they don't play till Saturday. Duke got a good flow right now. Yes, agreed, Jeremy. Lawrence Freeman, what's going on, Lawrence? Only giving up 106 points on the West Coast trip should be good for their defensive analytics. Absolutely, they've been moving up. They went as low as I think 12th after the who was the game before Louisville? Was that Florida State? I think so. They had dropped as low as 12th. They've been moving up slowly but surely, and I think they're gonna get back to their top 5 spot. I think they could be there after this one. This was a
But with the loss from Iowa State?
no. I just mean on Ken Palm.
On campus.
But with the loss to Iowa State on a separate point, they should be in the top 5. They lost twice this week, not once but twice. ABC says, I absolutely love it when we force the point guard to take a Hail Mary shot at the end of the shot clock. Our defense was outstanding. It's a lot of fun to watch defense when it's really good. It is. Joe M. Glad I was wrong thinking that Duke would lose an ACC out west game. I thought we could lose one of these. I don't think but I didn't predict it though. I didn't predict it. So, TGNC, Sar is the czar of defense. Yeah, he's.
So we got the glove, the czar of defense. I mean, it is showing that by all of you coming up with these nicknames for him, he is starting to establish an identity, and that's usually when you get the nickname. So these are great. It is just great. Corey Miller, best.
Sorry.
Whoops.
Going back.
Best we've looked since MSU. Good to see. Yep. Swisher, always a great day when UNC loses and Duke wins. Couldn't agree more. ABC / Clemson is 6-0. Yes, looking like they are going to be a definite opponent for us.
Well, quick pause there. One of the things going into the season, I thought Louisville was going to be great. They haven't been. North Carolina is certainly in a rough patch right now, but I do think between Clemson and Virginia, there are other teams in the ACC that are stepping up and are going to give Duke really good challenges, which is good. It's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. Duke needs that as we get to, March Madness.
I also want, while most of you are still listening, one of the things we'd love to do, since you guys are as crazy about Duke basketball as we are, is anyone willing to just do a brief interview with Jack and I, please send us an email so that we can communicate with you. We'd like to add that as a feature. Just shoot us an email. We'll reach back out to you. We'll set it up. But you guys clearly share the same joy we do, and we'd like to find out why. So, back to you, Jack.
GMAD, Sar's ability to take away the best player isn't going to help as much against teams like Michigan, who are not so dependent on one player like Stanford. Good point. And they're also, as I know you know, GMAD, a more interior-based team. So helping on the perimeter is not quite as important, although Cadeau tries to orchestrate from there. So if he could take away some of Cadeau's playmaking, that would help the team. But yeah, when other teams don't have a second option, it does hurt them significantly more. Duke Hoops, similar point here. Just want to see it against a team in their same tier like Michigan. But a 30-point road win is a 30-point road win, baby. 15 stocks is a sign of high energy. D, I'm a defense guy. It was a great defensive performance. How does Darren only see 3 minutes of action in a literal 30-point win? I'm beyond livid at John.
We agree. We thought this was a great opportunity to get minutes for Darren, which would also, especially in the first half when we were saying, where's our offense coming from? Maybe Darren can do this. So we agree that, yes, you put him in, with the 4 minute mark, but he could have seen minutes before that this game. Absolutely.
Joe M. Stanford had 32 bench points. Wow. 32 of their 50 points. Yeah, Dan Smith had it going. He did have it going. And 2 losses for Iowa State this week. Yeah, we should move ahead of them. North City Flip, JD, there's only 2 teams in the whole country that shoots 80%. So it's kind of a stretch to be great at everything.
I think I completely agree that you pointed that out, and that's what I noticed when I saw that when I said we should be shooting at 80%. Although I think my point is historically the great Duke teams have been near there. Now, fair enough, I should go back and do some research on that and see if that's just my bad memory thinking that way, but fair enough. And that's one of the things I noticed when they kept showing the graphic with Stanford's free throw shooting. So, but it could be something that can hurt us on those nights that we're shooting 68%, 64%, even 50%, So I'm going to harp on we've got to do better in our free throws. And to your point, maybe it's not much better than 80%. That would be fantastic.
Not much better. Not much better. What do you want? And North City Flip says, you guys talk about free throws as much as Shire says he needs to help the guys. That's a great call out, North City Flip. You're absolutely right. ABC says Miami, Ohio is 19-0. They went to overtime today to keep it going. Just, man. Just a crazy. Who would have thought they would be as good as that? ABC says Louisville is up 36-8 over. Did I read that right? Over Pittsburgh? Is that right? Yeah, they're up 53-22. Is Mikel Brown Jr. playing? Like, what is going on? He's not playing. Their threes are falling, and Pittsburgh they're having a rough season for Coach Capel over there. Good for Louisville though. Good for Louisville. I expect them to give Duke a challenge when we play them in Cameron in about a week or so. A little more than a week, I should say. Joe M. There was a short period when Dame and someone else went out, probably Foster, and Nick and Caden came into the game. Duke's defense dropped so much. Stanford almost started going into a rhythm with them in. Yeah, they're like that 2/3 of the way through the first half, if I remember correctly, like somewhere in that range. I noticed that as well. Duke, what's going on? Duke is number 3 on KenPom now. Wow. Big defensive performances certainly helped there. Archangel Music, what's going on? Duke holding Stanford to 19 points in the first half was amazing defense. I don't think this road trip was good for UNC. Yeah. Crazy with just the UNC finishes 4th in the California Invitational. Duke finishes 1st. They're going in opposite directions right now. ABC says Duke belongs in the top 4. They're right there. They are right there. GMAT. Seth Curry was one of my favorite players. Don't say it was that long ago. That was well after my time at Duke. LOL. Yeah, I mean, you and me both, man. I'm starting to feel old here. That seems like it does. I guess in the context of everything, maybe not that long ago, but he's been in the NBA a long time now. Joe M, crazy that simulated golf was taking up some Duke airtime. Boy, was that annoying. Goober McGee, welcome to the program. All aboard the Booze Cruise. GMAT says Wake is fine. We don't hate them. I know some good people who went to Wake too. Thanks, GMAT. I wasn't sure how it was. Everyone in the triangle felt with Wake. Joe M. That driving kick out of Nick was really good. Would like to see more of that from him. Agreed. GMAD, the main inconsistency we are left with after this California trip is off the bench. Yeah, and to a lesser extent, Pat and Caleb.
We have to have a rotation. I mean, we have to rely on people coming off the bench and giving us good minutes, and that is, it's not clear each game, as we struggle to find our identity, who that player is going to be, but we can't rely on five guys going deep, although Houston last year wasn't very deep.
No. They went pretty far.
They went pretty far. I mean, they went to the finals, so.
Yeah. Joe M. Duke is now third in Ken Palm, ninth on offense. I have no idea how we're ninth on offense. Sixth on defense. That makes a lot of sense to me. But I guess when the defense was not very good in these last handful of games, the offense was scoring a lot of points. So okay, maybe I'm probably being too harsh there. Anthony Ingram, Louisville is a one-trick pony. Threes going down, they can win. If not, no chance of winning or running good offense. Well said. Laura Markle, no one knows Elliot Cadeau more than John Shire. Also remember, he will not be able to see over Duke's size. Yes. The one thing Cadeau's doing much better this year is shooting the three. So I'd wonder if that will still be the case. But he is having a better shooting season. But yeah, I agreed, Laura. We know Elliot Cadeau. We've seen him a lot. GMAT. Missing your free throws also just seems like shooting yourself in the foot and failing on a basic skill. Also frustrating for players who should be good shooters and for a well-coached Duke team. I think that's why JD harps on it so much, because he feels like he can shoot free throws still. Why can't these guys? And it's not like we're shooting 75% and you're like, why can't we shoot 80? We're shooting 70 and you're asking for 80. I'm asking for 75. I know you're asking for closer to 80. You got to do some research for us.
I am. I made a note. I'm going to go
and
look for that.
we got to see how it's been done in the past. Joe M likes the California Invitational here. I appreciate that. North City Flip, very true. We definitely need to get near 75% from the line as a team. And more, Mr. Moore, I know this is basketball, but I just need to say F Mensa. Hope Miami loses the championship now. For you may not know this. Do you know this?
No. What?
Okay, so Duke. I can't claim I watch a lot of Duke football, but I know what's going on here. So Duke won the ACC championship first time in like 50 years. Okay, Darian Mensah was their quarterback. He had transferred from Tulane. Duke's had some recent success of Tulane transfers. Sion James, Mensah. Okay. A lot of people are very mad at Mensah because he said he was coming back to Duke. And then basically the very last minute of the transfer portal closing, he says, now I'm going to transfer. And he seems to be going to Miami. So between Jay Lucas going to Miami last year, now Mensah at the very last minute, there's a lot of frustration with Miami. So I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Moore. What do you think now that I've taught you a little bit about what's going on there? What do you think about the situation?
I thought Mensah was had something to do with it's a measure of intelligence.
Okay, well, we'll move on then. Joe M's also sad about Mensah. Laura Markle says, I remember Cadeau shooting lights out against Duke his freshman season from 3. Yeah, Laura, I forgot about that.
Brutal.
Last year he did not, but the year, you're right, I forgot. And it was like, he can't shoot threes, we should let him shoot, and he just couldn't miss. So you're absolutely right. I forgot about that one. So
Hey Jack, let me ask you something. A couple of you are still here. We appreciate you for doing that. If we were looking for emails so we can communicate with, our fans here that join us, but you don't want to put it in the chat because you don't want everyone to have your email, is there a way they can communicate the email directly to us?
Yeah, if you send me a DM on our Instagram or TikTok, it's on the page there. It's Talking Ball 6 on TikTok, Talking Ball 2 on Instagram. You can privately message me your email if you want to join the show. I know Ryan Jones and Dan the Duke fan were interested in doing that. So anybody else, if you want to come on, we'd be happy to have you. Talk about your history as a Duke fan, what you've been seeing from this team, anything else Duke related would be a lot of fun. And then our last plug here. Oh, and Laura says Mensa also signed a 2-year deal. He had signed a 2-year contract. So that's a very good point, Laura. Thank you for adding that. Also, our final plug will be on Monday. We will have our college basketball show where we look at the AP poll and the general landscape of college basketball, which will be 6 o'clock. We'll be doing that live, so we hope to see you guys then. A couple more late chats here. Joe M., he said he joined Miami after seeing all the other guys Miami picked up too. And then Anthony Ingram, I'll be glad when the national championship game is over. The ACC network has turned into the U of Miami football recruiting channel for the past 2 weeks. I think that's a great place to end this. We appreciate everybody joining us here. Another Duke win. This team is undefeated.
17-1 now.
Undefeated in ACC play, 17-1 overall. Their only loss being by 1 point. A great spot to be in midway through January. We'll have the preview for Wake midweek this week. So have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. Until then, peace.